Good afternoon, automotive fanatics. It's Peter, your automotive fanatic, and I welcome you back to another DIY video today. We are going to show you how these little Oznium LED bolt lights are going to change your dynamics of how you love your Audi today. What I have in store is I am going to add an additional ambient lighting into the SQ5, and this will also work on your Q5 as well. For those of you who have followed my channel through the years, you know prior I used to own an Audi S3, and those were notorious for having no ambient lighting whatsoever. What I ended up doing was putting a substantial amount of LED lighting into the car, and it produced a warm, nice ambient lighting throughout the car and changed the dynamics of how I loved my S3. Now my Q5 does come with ambient lighting that I activated under specific coding of the car, which you can do yourself as well. But the ambient lighting isn't so bright. It's typically 4 lights, one under each footwell, so you've got front and rear footwell lighting. But there's nothing on the sides of the door panel, so it's very dark. So we are going to go ahead and install some lights into the door panels to really create a nice, warm, and elegant, upgraded look to your car. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take these bulbs here and change how you love your Audi. Here we have the front door, and I'm going to explain to you what you guys need to do to remove the door panel. This is going to be somewhat complicated and a very fragile process because you need to remove this panel right here because there's going to be 2 bolts that are underneath. It's best to use a soft or a plastic prying tool to get underneath here to pry this off. Again, you'll access 2 bolts here. There's going to be 1 bolt that is going to follow underneath your door handle, and then below you have 1 additional bolt. So those bolts will come off. The door panel is going to be held in by several internal clips on the edges, and again you're going to have to use your plastic prying tool to essentially get underneath and pop the door panel off. I'm going to go ahead and do that and then show you guys the very next step to get behind this door panel. Here we have the back side of the door, and I wanted to show you all the back side just to kind of give you an idea of what you are faced against when you're pulling off this door panel. So you can obviously see these little rivets here that go around the door that you have to essentially snap off, and then you have this connector here that you want to disengage. You have this area here where your door latch is going to hook up to. Now this silver hole here, your door clip is going to actually hook into here, and then it attaches to here. So again, this is going to be a main point to remove. This point is also going to be the same thing. The next step that I did here was I essentially moved this insulation so that it could expose the door panel itself. And as you guys can tell, I have already went ahead and did this drilling. This is going to be the lower portion of your pocket on the other side. And I took the little LED bolt, drilled, I believe it's a 1/4 inch hole. I went ahead and ran the wiring along with the stock wiring here and just zip tied it. And I received power from this switch here. Now this is going to be your trunk release. The wires that you want to tap into for this door here is going to be the blue wire, which is positive, and either brown wire is going to be negative. And again, you just want to go ahead and simply just route it like that right here. And then when you flip this around, you're going to see a really nice ambient lighting that's going to go this way, and it's red. So now what I'll go ahead and do is I'm just going to put the insulation back. I'm going to plug that blue wire into the power panel of the door and make sure everything is good before I completely reinstall the door. I went ahead and secured the door back on. What I do recommend for you guys to do is make sure that everything works once you connect it back on, such as your windows, your locks, your seat memory. You've got your trunk release here before you totally snap those rivets back on. One thing I did forget to mention to you guys is when you are connecting your wires to the car's wiring, I use these little products right here. They're called Posi-Taps, and they're a very non-evasive way to tap into your vehicle system. They're a little pricey, but it saves you from cutting anything up, as it just taps right in on 2 different ends and you're good to go. So this is what I use. I did go ahead and test it. There's just a really nice red ambient light that just runs across this whole cup here, so it's not so dark. And again, it's just a really nice feature. I'll go ahead and put back the trim, bolt the door back, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the other side. But it's essentially going to be the same process on all the doors, where you do have to remove the trim, the bolts, pulling the door off, and getting to the wiring. But once we get to the other side and to the other doors, I'll share with you guys what wire I tap into so that you do choose the right wiring. One other thing, when you are tapping into either the power, the power window, or in this case here, I tap into the trunk, the lighting control for the LED is controllable through your dimmer switch, which is again a game changer, because it's not always super bright. If you don't like it, you can turn it down with your dimmer. So I'll show you the final outcome once we're all finished. Here I have the driver's rear door removed, and this is the back panel. I've done essentially the same thing. I went ahead and used the Posi-Taps here. I routed the wiring all the way over and down into just this little pocket where, once again, I drilled the hole and ran the LED bolt through. Now for the wiring setup for this one here, on the opposite side of the door panel, that is going to be your power window switch, and I did hook up the red wiring to the blue wiring and the black wiring to the brown wiring, which will give you power. So this is the back door setup, quite easy to do. The ambient lighting project for the SQ5 is done, so I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think? Do you like this little project that I did as an upgrade, or do you not like it? Go ahead and post below in the comments. I would really like your guys' feedback. For me, I think the SQ5 is a great car to be in. It's even better when you try to modernize it a little more by adding ambient lighting. Again, the car has the white ambient lighting in the footwell, which adds a nice touch to the car at night. But now when you're adding more red light ambiently, it is a nice feature in my opinion. Now, those of you that have followed my channel and know that the S3, I did a similar project, and I even included door trims that had LED strips. That was a huge game changer and one of my most followed videos and seen videos on my channel. If you guys have anything else that you think I could do to create a more modern appearance within the car at night, feel free to post up your comments and I'll see what I can do, as I'm always trying to kind of tinker around with the car and seeing what little special touches that I can do to make the car more of my own personal vehicle that I love driving all the time. As usual, my friends, thank you so much for following along with this SQ5 build that I'm doing, as well as supporting my channel and mashing that subscribe button, please, as it does get the algorithms in the right direction for me to create more content. This is going to be Peter, your automotive fanatic, signing off until the next time, my friends.